Good evening. Today is Sunday, February 15th, 2026. I'm Rich Stevens, and this is the Cold Take. What you're about to hear is news from this week, taken only from primary sources like press conferences and court documents. You can find those sources and attribution for every story at thecoldtake.com. We begin in Minneapolis, where Thursday Tom Homan announced a wind down to ICE's Operation Metro Surge. He said that ICE will continue operating out of the St. Paul field office to enforce immigration law against all persons in the United States illegally. He said that state and local law enforcement and corrections facilities are now cooperating and indicated that thousands of individuals have been removed. He said that 3,364 missing children have been located in Minnesota during the surge. Governor Walz responded by saying that the, quote, unprecedented federal invasion inflicted more trauma than natural disasters or COVID. He said that the surge has left Minnesota with deep damage, generational trauma, and economic ruin. If you have a car manufactured after 2012, you are probably familiar with the feature that automatically shuts off your engine when your car stops. This feature is the result of Obama-era off-cycle credits. The credits impact compliance with the manufacturer fleet average CO2 limits. February 12th, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin eliminated the off-cycle credits along with the requirement that manufacturers comply with federal greenhouse gas emission standards across their fleets. Zeldin says this will eliminate the start-stop button and save Americans $1.3 trillion. Speaking of cars, in Orange County, Florida, the sheriff's office announced last week that they purchased an ice cream truck. Using money seized through civil forfeiture on drug-related arrests, the truck will provide free ice cream. They plan to take it out several times a month to different neighborhoods for outreach efforts and will bring it to events throughout Orange County. Visit thecoldtake.com to see the sheriff's video announcement. I feel like I'm not really capitalizing on the Winter Olympics and the whole ice-themed cold thing. But I live in Florida. I don't get ice here. Well, not that kind of ice. Hit like and subscribe for more deep thoughts on ice and ice. A lot of news this week about driving. Video circulated on social media this week portraying a woman who was upset about not receiving her driver license. She'd taken and passed the written test in Spanish, but beginning February 6th, the state requires all written driver proficiency tests to be administered and taken in English. While some people argue that most signs are just symbols, those people ignore no parking, road work ahead, wrong way, no through traffic, dead end, school zone, every electronic signboard in the state. No turn on red, no U-turn, stop for pedestrians, left lane must turn left, do not pass, pass with care, restricted lane ahead, divided highway, road closed, slower traffic keep right. I could go on. Monday, February 9th, a single-engine aircraft made an emergency landing on a surface street in Gainesville, Georgia. The landing was caught on camera, and video shows the plane making a hard landing before impacting several vehicles. Police said 2 people were transported with minor injuries. NTSB and FAA are investigating. That video is up at thecoldtake.com. On February 10th in British Columbia, Canada, police were called to Tumbler Ridge Secondary School for an active shooter. After a brief exchange of gunfire, 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar was found dead. Officers recovered a long gun and what officials referred to as a, quote, modified handgun. Police said that they had been to the home on several occasions when the suspect was experiencing mental health issues. Jesse identified as transgender and had been transitioning from male to female for the last 6 years. The 9 fatalities include the shooter's mother and stepbrother, and at least 25 others were injured at the school. Minnesota Republican gubernatorial candidate Jeff Johnson has suspended his campaign following the stabbing death of his 22-year-old daughter. I wasn't able to find any official statements, but her husband Dylan Tobler was booked on February 10th for second-degree murder. Monday, February 9th, a California judge ruled on the federal government's case against two California laws. One would prohibit law enforcement from covering their faces, and the other requires either a visible name or badge number. The judge enjoined California from enforcing the ban on face coverings, but upheld the requirement to display a name or badge number. California Attorney General Bonita celebrated the ruling, saying, quote, "Safe communities thrive on transparency and trust, and California is committed to doing our part to uphold public safety and civil liberties." Attorney General Pam Bondi also celebrated the ruling, saying that it will protect agents from being doxxed and obstructed. The judge upheld the requirement for name or badge number, specifically because it does not carry a penalty, so it's unlikely that the federal law enforcement agencies will comply with it. You can read the court's full opinion at thecoldtake.com. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis directed the State Board of Governors to end H-1B visa hires at public colleges and universities. At their January 29th meeting, they advanced a rules package that will move the policy forward for public comment at their next meeting. If approved, the measure will block H-1B visa hires at public universities in Florida through January 5th, 2027. Moving over to finance, Friday, February 13th, the Bureau of Labor Statistics released the January numbers. Inflation fell to 2.4% from 2.7% at the end of December. Energy commodities continue negative inflation, with gasoline at negative 7.5% and fuel oil at negative 4.2%. Energy services offset the economic gains, with electricity prices up 6.3% and piped gas services up 9.8% year over year. Markets fell this week. After topping 50,000 last week, the Dow Jones lost 615 points to close at 49,500. The Nasdaq dropped 485 points, over 2%, and finished the week at 22,546. The S&P 500 lost 96 points, closing at 6836. Gold futures recouped most of last week's losses and ended trading at $5,055 per ounce. And in sports, Sunday, February 8th, the Seattle Seahawks used 5 field goals and 6 sacks to beat the Patriots 29-13 in the Super Bowl. A fairly boring game until the fourth quarter, where the teams combined for all 4 of the game's touchdowns. Videos circulated later showing a lackluster crowd response at halftime. Other videos show players unable to name a Bad Bunny song, with several saying they'd never heard of him. The Broncos are an early 2027 Super Bowl favorite at plus 950 to win the whole thing next year. The Israeli bobsled team released a Cool Runnings parody video to X titled Shul Runnings. Shul is the Yiddish word for synagogue, and the video features AI animations of the group bobsledding through sand dunes and into the ocean before the water parts and then freezes into a bobsled track. On February 7th, the apartment they were staying in for training was broken into and robbed. Gear, suitcases, passports, and even their shoes were stolen. They will compete February 16th, 17th, 21st, and 22nd. The Olympics are ongoing. Norway leads host Italy in the overall medal standings with 11 gold, 5 silver, and 7 bronze. Italy has 7 gold, 3 silver, and 10 bronze medals. U.S. men's figure skater Ilya Malinin fell to 8th in the individual competition after falling twice in his final skate. He'd been projected to win gold by a large margin. The United States has 17 total medals and sits in 3rd overall, behind Italy and ahead of Sweden. And finally, college basketball is heating up. Monday night, number 9, Kansas toppled top-ranked Arizona, handing them their first loss of the season. Texas Tech visited Arizona Saturday and needed overtime, but handed the Wildcats their second loss in as many games. The final was 78-75. Miami of Ohio is now the lone unbeaten D1 men's basketball team and sits at 23 in last week's AP poll. The defending national champion Florida Gators went to Athens and beat the Bulldogs 86-66 Wednesday night, and returning to Gainesville, the Gators never trailed in a 92-83 home win over Kentucky on Saturday. And like it or not, that's what happened. I'm Rich Stevens, and this has been another edition of The Cold Take.